Hello YouTube. Today I want to show you how to create your first custom connector, or really any custom connector using a public or private API. In this case, we'll be using the Cocktail database, which is just a fun one. Pretty much everyone understands how to make a drink, and this is an easy way to display that. So first step is make sure you're in the right environment. Environments are something that could be talked about for hours, and I might not even be the best person to explain that. In this case, we'll use the default one. Over on the left in Power Automate, we'll go over to custom connectors. We'll create a new connector here, and we're going to call it the Cocktail database because that's the name of this API. So this quick description. Cool to know it's, like I said, private. It can connect through an on-premise data gateway, which is pretty cool, especially if you want to keep stuff secured and use Microsoft. So the host is going to just be up to the API. Then the last part is going to be everything up to the search term, which in this case is, it doesn't like when I copy paste some stuff here. It's going to be everything up to the last /. Boom. Now we can go to security. This one has no authentication, makes it easy. Now we're going to create an action. We're just going to say get search drinks. And for this, we can just keep it easy. I like to do whatever the request is as the operator ID. We're going to import from sample, which will be this. Import it. Now you can see pretty cool. I'd already grabbed the query, which is the / or $S part, and that would be the drink by name. I'll show you a little gotcha here. So the next one is get search letter. And you'll see why this causes an issue. We're going to get the search by a letter. Yep, this is how it's going to go. If you can see, the search is kind of the same. The query is just different. So if we do get, okay, so the combination of the path, it can't be two of the same paths, which is the problem here. And I don't get why it did that. Doesn't like the base path either, so we're going to want to change that. But you can't have two of the same URLs, and you can see here, that's why, because the base URL didn't grab over, right? So get search, so it doesn't like that because it's the same beginning. So it's actually pretty easy to do this. We can just switch over to the Swagger editor here. Because it wants to do get search by the first letter. See, this is weird. Let's just create the connector. There's some wonkiness in this, I'm not gonna lie. So always just create the connector. If you ever see anything weird, refresh the page. It'll clear itself up. It takes a second when you first create it because it's not actually there yet, so it's kind of working off memory. That's what I've seen. So looks like it's getting the search by the first letter. So perfect. So we have this getting the search. Now we're just going to add a new parameter. So in Swagger, you can really just import any Swagger document. So instead of F, this will be S. And you can tell it's S because over here it's searching for it by name. And then we can also have ingredient here. Perfect. So now we got done with the Swagger editor. Now we're going to just go into these, and the name needs to stay the same. But we want this one to be letter. First letter. So the summary will be the first letter. Okay. S is going to be the name. And I will be the ingredient. So now we have our first term in there. So we're going to update this. Next thing we're going to do is, I guess it's ID. Oh, that's lookup though. So the next one we're going to do is just going to do random. I'm not going to do everything on this page because we don't need all that. So get random. Import that from a sample. It's a get request. And that's just random.php. That one's pretty easy. So let's add another one. And what do we want to add here? See if there's any other one. I think that's probably it. Oh no, let's do search with a filter. So now we can filter all the drinks. So get search filter. We're just going to go through the same steps so I can show you a few times here how to do it. Now we're going to go to the Swagger editor again. Oh, we don't actually need to do that because in this one, the filter is going to all be by ingredients. Perfect. So let's just update it one more time, make sure. Now we go over to test. So because we don't have a connection, we'll create a connection. And we're going to search by, we want to search by, we'll say by the name. I want to make sure we get some JSON data here. I'm actually going to copy that. And that's it. Our custom connector is created. So now if we go over to flows, we're going to create a new flow, instant cloud flow, manually trigger, and we'll just say get random drink. Create. Now this is where it might ask you for a license. So we'll do the cocktails DB. We're going to get a random drink. We'll hit new step, and then we're just going to post in channel. We're just going to post it in Teams to make it easy. Flowbot. Oh, we'll just post it to me. There, that'll be easier. Whoops. Select the user we want to send it to. Oh, it wants to do an adaptive card. I'm not going to go into an adaptive card. That is a whole video. Adaptive cards are really cool. So let's try this again. Post in chat, post card, post a message in chatter channel. So same thing, Flowbot. We'll post in the chat with the Flowbot. We could post it as the person who ran it. Let's just do that. And then now, oh, we got to add one more step. So this is why I copied the JSON data. So you can add this to the connector. I don't like doing that because sometimes you might not want to parse the JSON right away. So you import it from the sample. The sample is what I copied out of the test. That was just a test response. And this is the body from the get random. You can paste this right into the connector. However, I wouldn't personally. So a few things as we look at this file that I like to get rid of. I don't like the required because it requires that data to be there. Another thing in this one, see how these are blank like that? Well, all of these could potentially be null. So if you force the type like this, it requires that it be a string, which will cause issues when running the flow. It'll fail if it expects a string and gets a null. So in this case, we'll just make it so it can be anything. We're not forcing the type. We're not saying it has to be there, which will increase the success of this. Like I said, this is where if you know exactly what the API data is going to look like, awesome. Use it every time. But if you don't, I would use parse JSON. So we're going to get the drink, the string of the drink. We're just getting this from the parse JSON object here. Is alcoholic. And then let's just add, so see how it's not actually showing those? You can still call them. Let me show you if I can do that quickly here. I usually just like to open a web router, apply to each. So if we go back to this, we can take this. And you'll see here, see how it actually does work? So awesome. Now we're just going to go in here and we can delete this now. We're just going to grab the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll show how to do this in an adaptive card. It's a lot cooler then. So we have the ingredients there. So if they're null, they won't post. If they aren't null, then it will post. In this case, it can be up to like 18 ingredients like you saw there. So make sure that you test. This is just a caveat of this API. And that's not a problem of the Microsoft Power Platform. That's just the way that there is no standard definition to APIs, which there should be. So if you're an API developer out there, make it Swagger. So it failed. Why did it fail? And this actually might be good to go through. Because I believe the string invalid expected string but got null. So like I said, this is exactly the error I'm talking about. So it's in the tags. So let's go back to the tags. Let's just find this. Okay, so there it is. So the tag can be null. Let's try again. So after you run it once, the nice thing is you can just go here and hit test and run it off the previous run. In this case, it's not that big of a deal, but if you have this in an automated flow, it makes your life a lot easier to troubleshoot. Failed again. What did it fail on now? IBA. So we're just going through and troubleshooting here. We don't really like to kind of show that, show you that this is not, a science. It's more of a trial and error. That's how I like to look at automating. As long as you know the only person who's going to be affected by this is me, I'll get a Teams message. So now what? What do we got going on here? Expected a string but got null. Image source. And you know what? Maybe we just take this out. We'll just take the content out. And let's try to generate from a new sample here. And let's see what it looks like. Because I actually pulled this from another. It didn't actually. Okay, so we have that now. Oh, did it pull over right? No, it didn't. So let's try again. Generate from sample. Syntax of the parse JSON is wrong, of course. Let's try again. There we go. So now you can see same thing here. Sorry, this video is going to probably be longer than it needs to be. But I do like to show that this is kind of not a, it's not an exact science. So I did the same thing there. Let's try it again. That was probably my bad because I grabbed that from the search instead of the random to generate. But if you didn't use this parse JSON, you see how going back and forth between a custom connector could be really annoying. So there it is. So you make it chocolate, Black Russian. So just to prove that it'll get another random drink, let's run it again. Now, and actually something funny you can do here is you can actually run it right from here. So if you list your flows, so it hasn't updated yet, which is okay. We'll just run it from here. You can actually run them from right here, which is pretty sweet if you ask me. It takes a second for it all to update though. I think it's because it runs off the Azure backend. So look, it even grabbed the link for us, which if we use an adaptive card, we would be able to put that image in of what it looks like. I will show that in the next video here, but I don't want this to run too long. 16 minutes is kind of long already. So I hope this is helpful. Quick little API custom connector talk, and keep automating.